So before we begin the big HFA and others meetings, I just want to introduce Ken Adams, our new board chair. Ken is currently the Dean of the Workforce and Economic Development at Bronx Community College, where he's been for about a year. Prior to that, he had a short stint as the acting commissioner for the New York State Department of Finance and Tax, or Tax and Finance. And most importantly for us, for the 4 years prior to that, Ken was the CEO and commissioner of the Empire State Development Corporation, ESD, somewhat of our sort of sister agency on some stuff we do, and obviously oversaw many large-scale economic development initiatives across the state, for which we, are thrilled to have you here as our chair and bringing sort of that wealth of knowledge of the state initiatives of the state generally, to be our board chair. So thank you for coming and welcome.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. It's great to be here, and I was waiting for a moment to introduce myself, because here I am asking questions and I hardly know anybody. So forgive me, I guess, for not doing this at the onset, but I wanted Ruth Ann she's the leader here, so she had to lead this thing. A couple of very quick things. I was honored in June when the governor approached me about this, but there was one condition, and that was I had to go have a cup of coffee with Ruth Ann and get to know her. And that sealed the deal, because you have, as you all know, just a fantastic leader in Ruth Ann. So obviously that's very, for board members, that means a lot, right? Because you want to know. Now, thanks to Ruth Ann, I was here, and to others, Alex and others, I was here a couple days ago, met some of you in a board prep session, which, by the way, reminded me of our ESD board prep sessions. We would do the same thing prior to board meetings. And for a variety of reasons, I served as acting chair for 4 years because we didn't really have a chair. And Joyce remembers, so I played 2 roles there. And a lot of similarities in the preparation. And in both instances, and more importantly here on Tuesday, I was reminded of a couple things. One is, there is an incredible, we did introductions on Tuesday. I hope people on the TVs can hear some of what I'm saying. And we went around the table, and I was reminded of the incredible depth of knowledge and experience in the staff here, in the almost 301 people, not quite yet, that if you multiplied average, let's say tenures of 20 or 30 years amongst many of you, it's really incredible. And I always made a point at ESD and the Department of Economic Development of recognizing that longevity of tenured experts. I'm a big believer that state government, the extent to which we can get good things done to help the people of New York, is largely driven by institutional memory. And the people who have worked longest in these positions, that frankly, Ruth Ann and I, as commissioners, don't last as long for a variety of reasons. The people who in and out, day to day, and I'm talking about to everybody in this room and those of you on the screens and others in the agency who aren't part of the board proceedings. But my point is, I've observed this close hand at ESD, GED, other state agencies. Tax and Finance, when I was there, had close to 5,000 people. And the tremendous work and that longevity of service that leads to institutional memory, that's the foundation for effective decision making by leadership like basically Ruth Ann and her colleagues. I can say that I hope I can on your behalf, because it's the way I felt. I was emboldened to make decisions and to run programs and to do the work on behalf of Governor Cuomo when I was at ESD, or made confident to make those decisions because of the staff that helped me figure it out, that had been there through thick and thin and knew what was going on. So I might have been a spokesperson for that agency, I might have been at the top of the org chart or whatever, but any success that I had in carrying out the governor's agenda, regional councils or other programs that we were doing, was only because of the staff experience of people who had served 10, 20, 30, more than 30 years, there and here. And the other day when we went on the table, Ruth Ann, it was evident. I mean, we had a lot of people saying, I asked them, how long have you been in state service? I'm getting 20 years, 30 years, 33 years, and so on. Unbelievable. And people don't get that. Outside this office on the street, people don't get what that means. These agencies wouldn't work without that longevity, that experience, that commitment. So thank you all. We don't have time today because we have a lot on the agenda, but my habit at ESD will be the same thing here. Probably in the October meeting, I'm going to make each one of you introduce yourselves and tell me what you do all day. Now that I've thanked you for your work, I got to know what you do. So we'll save that for next time. It really matters to me. I'll try to get to know names. And it's an honor. It was an honor to be called to come back into state service by the governor. It's a bigger honor to be with all of you and support you in the work that you do. And if in some modest way I can help Ruth Ann and all of you get the good work done that you do all across this great state. I'm so glad Buffalo's on the phone and Syracuse. That we're based here in New York, but we've got to remember our colleagues across the state and our imperatives to serve every one of the 62 counties of the state with affordable housing developments and more. But it is really an honor and a pleasure, and I thank you in advance for all the learning that I'll do at your expense. So thank you again. Now, how about Ruth Ann? Should we back to you, or are we?
I think Linda's
ready
going to
for
do some
action?
formalities.
All right,
I'm going to do my
We're
little
gonna dig in.
my Vanna White roll.
All right. You're going to stroke the furniture.
You stand up, Lynn?
Not successfully. Now I'm going to note that Erica Lewandowski, representing the Director of the Division of Budget, is participating via video conference from the New York State Division of Budget Conference Center at the Capitol Building 131 in Albany. Ms. Bethada Gonzalez is participating from the Syracuse Regional Office, 620 Erie Boulevard, Suite 312, and Mark Schroeder is participating from the agency's Buffalo Regional Office at Electric Tower 535 Washington Street, Suite 105. I'll ask for motions and seconds to call to order the September 14, 2017 meetings of the New York State Housing Finance Agency, the New York State Affordable Housing Corporation, the State of New York Mortgage Agency, the State of New York Municipal Bond Bank Agency, and the Tobacco Settlement Financing Corporation. Motions for HFA and AHC.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Motion for Sunny May.
So moved.
Second.
So moved.
Thank you. Motions for MBBA and TSFC.
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
As items are presented to each board throughout today's meetings, the motions and seconds will be used unless specific items call for a different vote or unless any board member or director wishes to record his or her vote differently.
I now turn things over to President Vosnauskas for her president's report. Ruth Ann, take it away.
Thank you, Ken. I will be very brief today because we have a very full agenda. But at this morning's Mortgage Insurance Committee meeting, 11 new projects were approved for insurance. These approvals represented almost 1,400 units of affordable housing located in Suffolk, Westchester, Erie, Monroe, New York, and Bronx counties. And in a few moments on the HFA agenda, we'll be seeking your approval on 8 new financings, over $325 million, for projects located in New York City, in Buffalo, White Plains, Riverhead, and Yonkers for over 1,200 units of affordable housing. Also this morning, both the audit and the governance committees of the agencies are meeting and will consider various administrative and financial items. We're also going to be seeking approval for 2 new members of our senior leadership team, which we're very excited about, and we'll talk a little more about that later. On AHC, we're going to review awards totaling $1.6 million that represent assistance to 94 units of housing, all located outside of New York City. And for myself, since June, we've been pretty busy doing a couple things, hopping around the state. In the middle of July, myself and some staff went and met with the new HUD Regional Administrator, Lynn Patent, who will be partnering us on projects that we work with HUD. In July, we did a groundbreaking for La Centrale, which is sort of the first phase of a very large multi-phase project in the Bronx that we've been working on. In late July, a bunch of us went upstate for the staff picnic at Dinosaur Barbecue. And we also had a downstate summer picnic on Governor's Island. Both were very well attended and great. In the middle of August, I went up and met with Mayor Byron Brown in Buffalo to talk about some of the initiatives they're focused on in Buffalo, and also to do a ribbon cutting for Baptist Manor, which was a rehab of a senior project in downtown Buffalo. I also went recently, last week I think, to the dedication and the renaming of Riverbank State Park, which was renamed for the, I think now retired New York State Assemblyman Denny Farrell, a long advocate for housing and chair of many of the committees that we sat in front. I went to the governor's cabinet retreat also last week, which was up at Bear Mountain State Park, which was a great time for all the senior leadership at the state to get together and talk about things that may be coming in the upcoming state of the state, which was great. And I was 2 days ago, went to Syracuse and talked at the Rural Housing Conference to a lot of our RPCs and NPCs. So it's been a busy couple weeks, as evidenced by today's agenda. It's going to be a very, very, very busy fall. I think of one thing of note, it was nice to see so many Municipal Housing Authority projects up on the agenda. As folks may remember, that one of the many categories in the housing plan was funding sort of specifically to make sure we could put housing authorities on sort of firm footing, especially in the face of financial cuts, so federal cuts. So not those at the expense of any other projects, but it's nice to see sort of projects coming in sort of programmatically, and we are very, very busy. So with that, I will turn it back to you.
Thank you. Do directors have any questions for Ruth Ann based on her president's report? Hearing none, is going to go back to Linda for committee actions. Linda?
Great. The committee, so the report from the Mortgage Insurance Committee, the committee took the following actions earlier today. They adopted the minutes of the July 13th, 2017 meeting. Recommended approval for 100% mortgage insurance on a $27,500,000 HFA permanent mortgage, first mortgage loan for Fountain Senior Building B1, Kings County. Recommended approval of 100% mortgage insurance on a $7,250,000 HFA permanent first mortgage loan for Fountain Senior Building B3, Kings County. Recommended approval of 100% mortgage insurance on a $12,300,000 HFA permanent first mortgage loan on Project Hope, Bronx County. Recommended approval of 100% mortgage insurance on a $10,950,000 HFA permanent first mortgage loan for River Lost, Suffolk County. Recommended 100% mortgage insurance on a $7 million HFA permanent first mortgage loan for Kern, Martinelli, and Hall Apartments, Westchester County. Recommended approval for 100% mortgage insurance on a $6,100,000 HFA first permanent mortgage loan for Skylar DeKalb Apartments, Westchester County. Recommended approval for 100% mortgage insurance on a $3,200,000 HFA permanent first mortgage loan for Frederick Douglass Apartments, Erie County. Recommended approval of 100% mortgage insurance on a $9,300,000 CPC permanent first mortgage loan for 330 Main Street, Oneida County. Approval of 100% mortgage insurance on $2,900,000 CPC permanent first mortgage loan for CDS Monarch Senior Living, Monroe County. Recommended approval of 100% mortgage insurance on a $10,100,000 CPC permanent first mortgage loan for Croton Senior Housing, Bronx County. Recommended approval for 100% mortgage insurance on an $13,807 list permanent first mortgage loan for 500 West 159th Street and 547 West 160th Street, New York County. Approved an increase in mortgage insurance of $500,000 on a LIFT mortgage loan for Affy East Village, New York County. Additionally, there's the report of the Audit Committee for HFA, AHC, Sunny May, MBBA, and Tsfc. The committees took the following actions earlier today. All 5 committees adopted minutes. All 5 agencies recommended the approval of the administrative budget request and financial plans for fiscal year 2018. All 5 committees adopted a resolution approving the procurement audit report. The Sunny May Audit Committee adopted a resolution approving the Sunny May servicers audit of M&T Bank together with the management's response. All 5 agencies audit committees received a presentation on the audit plan from the agency's independent auditors, Ernst & Young. All 5 agencies reviewed the report of the administrative budget expenditures for the 9-month period ending July 31st, 2017, and the 6-month period ending August 30th, 2017, and updated financial plans. All 5 agencies audit committees reviewed the financial statement update for the second and third quarters of fiscal year 2017 and the first quarter of fiscal 2018 for AHC. The governance committees also met for HFA, AHC, Sunny May, MBBA, and Tsfc. The committees took the following actions earlier today. All 5 committees adopted minutes. All 5 committees reviewed and approved various contracts.
We will now present items shared by HFA, AHC, Sunny May, MBBA, and TSFC. Linda's going to record the approval of the minutes. Linda?
The minutes for the meetings of HFA, Sunny May, and AHC held on July 13th, 2017, and those for MBBA and TSFC held on June 15th, 2017 shall be deemed approved, absent further corrections of the members or directors.
We will now move to the shared action items. Item 2, resolution approving the administrative budget request and financial plans for FY or fiscal year 2018. This is HFA, AHC, Sunny May, MBBA, TSFC. It says, we've already done this.
Yeah.
It says we can, if we have any questions again for Sheila, she's still here. Thank you again, Sheila.
Repeat the same questions?
Pardon me?
Do we have to repeat the same questions?
No, that's okay.
Incorporate by reference.
Linda, back to you, Linda.
So then now before all 5 boards is a resolution of the New York State Housing Finance Agency, the New York State Affordable Housing Corporation, the State of New York Mortgage Agency, the State of New York Municipal Bond Bank Agency, and the Tobacco Settlement Financing Corporation adopting an administrative budget for fiscal years November 1st, 2017 to October 31st, 2018, and for April 1st, 2018 to March 31st, 2019 for AHC, and financial plans for the fiscal years 2019, 2020, and 2021 with respect to the New York State Housing Finance Agency, the State of New York Mortgage Agency, the State of New York Municipal Bond Bank Agency, and the Tobacco Settlement Financing Corporation, and the State of New York Affordable Housing Corporation's financial plan for fiscal years 2020, 2021, and 2022, and preliminary cast budgets for the New York State Finance Agency and the State of New York Municipal Bond Bank Agency for fiscal year 2018. Assuming the first and second previously entered for all 5 boards, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. I'm sorry, thank you. The motions are carried and the resolution adopted.
You know, Linda, you're a very good reader of all this material, and I shudder to think what would happen if you had laryngitis or lost your voice or something. What would we do?
My high school debating skills are coming back. in
Item 3,
figures.
resolution appointing Ms. Dina Levy, or Levy.
Levy.
Levy. Dina Levy as Senior Vice President. Where's Dina? I hope she's here. Oh, there she is. Good. Nice to meet you. Congratulations in advance. I mean, almost. We're not there yet, but this goes well. This goes okay. You'll be
Don't
fine.
jinx us
Don't
here.
make assumptions.
Resolution appointing Ms. Dina Levy as Senior Vice President for Single Family and Community Development. This is a Sunny May and AHC item. And I think we're going to get a little background here from Ruth Ann.
Yes, I'm pleased to recommend for your consideration the appointment of Dina Levy as Senior Vice President of Single Family and Community Development. This position is a newly created position within the agency, and Dina will be responsible for strategic leadership of all our single family work through Sunny May, our community development work through the Office of Community Renewal, and also the work of the faith-based initiatives team. Previously, Dina was the Director of Community Impact and Innovation for Attorney General Eric Schneiderman, and in that role, she advised the Attorney General on negotiations of multi-billion-dollar bank settlements and oversaw relationships with state and national stakeholders. Prior to joining the Attorney General's office, Dina worked for the Urban Homesteading Assistance Board, UHAB, where she served as Director of Organizing, building strategic coalitions to preserve, expand, and improve the quality of affordable housing across New York City. Earlier in her career, Dina was the Community Director for Newark Community Development Network and also the Founding Director of the Plan Fund in Texas. I'm confident that Dina will make a significant contribution to the work and accomplishments of the agency, and I recommend her appointment without reservation.
All right. Linda?
So now before the Sunny May and AHC boards for approval is a resolution of the State of New York Mortgage Agency and the Affordable Housing Corporation appointing Ms. Dina Levy as Senior Vice President for Single Family and Community Development.
Okay, this is where Joyce gets to ask her questions. I know.
I was just commenting that it's making me feel very old.
Oh, that's what it was. Thank you, Linda.
So then assuming the first and second previously entered for Sunny May and the AHC boards, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motions are carried.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Linda, and congratulations, Dina. Welcome aboard, and you've been here, but now it's official. Item 4 is a resolution approving compensation adjustments for senior officers. This is a Sunny May, HFA, AHC, MBBA, and TSFC item. And Mrs. Mallow. Who's that? Oh,
Hi.
hi.
Mrs. Mal is my grandmother, though. And she can't be with us today. Good morning.
Meet her. I'm sure she's lovely.
I never had the opportunity to meet her, actually. I'm sure she was lovely. Good morning. I'm here to seek your approval for the resolution in the book approving compensation adjustment for senior officers. As stated, it's consistent with the policies and procedures that this board adopted in 2005, whereby senior officers' compensation adjustments are to be recommended to the board. It's also consistent with the DOB Bulletin D1135, which was issued in April. That bulletin allowed for 2% retro general salary increases, retro to 2016 to April of 2016, and also 2% starting in April of 2017. A parity increase of 2% retro to April of 2016. And the bulletin also allowed for performance advances and longevity increases, which we have decided to withhold at the recommendation of the chamber on account of the compounded nature of the 2% increases. So with that, I welcome questions or seek your approval. Yeah.
Can I, this is sort of a Sheila question as well, but the increased is the increased compensation accounted for in the budget we approved a little while ago for the new fiscal year?
Yes.
So you're within still the $68 million operating budget?
Yes.
I figured it was, but we,
Yes.
kind of a little bit out of order to
No, fair enough.
approve a budget and then approve salary increases.
Yes.
Great, thank you. Other questions regarding the compensation increases?
Should be getting more.
Yeah, no, let's,
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I've only, been here for a few hours, but you guys are getting the point. It's well-deserved, and yeah, probably not enough to Joyce's point, but certainly well earned and well-deserved by all of you.
That said, I would just also note that while we bring the SVPs to the board, we have already enacted similar increases for the management confidential staff that are not SVP level.
Right, per the bulletin, so that's...
Per the bulletin, and feel very strongly that for all the same reasons you just articulated, that's important.
Thank you. No further questions, Linda, back to you.
Now before all the agencies for approval is a resolution of the State of New York Mortgage Agency, the State of New York Housing Finance Agency, the State of New York Affordable Housing Corporation, the State of New York Municipal Bond Bank Agency, and the Tobacco Settlement Financing Corporation authorizing senior officer compensation adjustments. Assuming the first and second previously entered for each of the agencies, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 The motions are carried and the resolution adopted. The consent.
We're going to move to a consent item. There'll be no discussion of this item unless board members so request. Do any board members want to discuss it? If not, we're going to go to item 5, which is approval of second and third quarter bond sale reports. This is HFA and Sunny Mae, and Linda's going to walk us through it.
So now before the HFA and Sunny Mae boards is a resolution approving the second and third quarter bond sales reports, assuming the first and second previously entered for HFA and Sunny Mae. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motions are carried and the resolution adopted.
We'll now move to the shared information items. There will be no discussions on the next 5 items on the agenda, again, unless board members or directors so request. Item 6 is current agency procurements in the lobbying restricted period. Item 7 is review of the agency's quarterly procurement report for the period ending July 31st, 2017. Item 8 is review of the third quarter investment reports for HFA, Sunny Mae, MBBA, Tsfc for the period ending July 31st, 2017, and the first quarter report for AHC for the period ending June 30th, 2018. This is HFA, AHC, Sunny Mae, MBBA, and TFC items. Item 9 is the financial statement update for the second and third quarter fiscal 2017 and a first quarter fiscal 2018 for AHC. And item 10 is a report of the administrative budget expenditures for the 9 months ending July 31st, 2017 and the 6 months ending April 30th, 2017 and updated financial plans. Item 11 has been deleted from the agenda, so we'll now move to item 8 on the MBBA TSFC agenda. And we're going to get, I think, Sheila back up here for this report, correct? No. Okay, I was just kidding.
I guess, is there any questions regarding?
Are there any
this
questions for
information?
board members? Stay where you are, Sheila. Item 8, it's the third quarter investment reports. That was item 8?
Um,
Oh, no, I'm sorry. It's the report on TSFC.
Right, this was a report requested by the board of TSFC at its last meeting regarding the bonds. But the report's contained in your packet, so if there are any questions, I'm sure Sheila's happy to answer it.
Except I don't have it in my board.
Well, hold on, Sheila, because so far no questions, so you're off the hook. But let's give board members a chance just to remember the item and review the materials, and if there are any questions, now's the time. Of course, we can always
I'm sure Sheila.
bring it back, we
right.
can always put it on agenda for a future meeting as well, if people look at the materials and want to. Directors have any questions for Sheila on this, on item 8? If there are no further items for MBBA and the TSFC boards, Linda's going to ask for motions to adjourn the meetings of those two boards. Linda?
Assuming the first and seconds previously entered for the MBBA and TSFC boards, all in favor of adjourning, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motions are carried and the meetings are adjourned. The next MBBA and TSFC meetings are scheduled for Thursday, December 14th, 2017 at 9 a.m.
So mark your calendars. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Linda. We're now going to move to the Sunny May items. Note that the next 8 items on the Sunny May agenda were discussed and voted on earlier at today's Mortgage Insurance Committee meeting. They are now up for vote by the Sunny May board. There will be no discussion on these items unless the directors so request. We're always open to that. But we'll now move on to the votes. So item 12 is resolution approving 100% mortgage insurance on an HFA $27,500,000 permanent first mortgage loan for Fountain Senior Housing, Building B1, Brooklyn, Kings County.
No question?
Any questions from directors on this item? Again, most of us saw and discussed this earlier. Linda?
Then now before the board for approval is a resolution of the State of New York Mortgage Agency improving mortgage insurance and a commitment for $27,500,000 in an HFA permanent first mortgage loan for Fountain Senior Building B1, Kings County. Assuming the first and second previously entered for the Sunny May board, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 The motion is carried and the resolution adopted.
Linda, thank you. Thanks, everyone. Item 13 is a resolution approving 100% mortgage insurance on a $7,250,000 HFA permanent first mortgage loan for Fountain Senior Building B3, Brooklyn, Kings County. Directors have any questions on this item? Hearing none, Linda, take it away.
Then now before the board is a resolution of the State of New York Mortgage Agency approving the mortgage insurance and a commitment for $7,250,000 in an HFA permanent first mortgage loan for Fountain Senior Building B3, Kings County. Assuming the first and second previously entered for Sunny May, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 The motion is carried and the resolution adopted.
Item 14, resolution approving 100% mortgage insurance on a $12,300,000 HFA permanent first mortgage loan for Project Hope, Bronx County. Directors have any questions on this project? If not, Linda?
Then now before the board for approval is a resolution of the State of New York Mortgage Agency approving the mortgage insurance and a commitment for $12,300,000 in an HFA permanent first mortgage loan for Project Hope, Bronx County. Assuming the first and second previously entered for Sunny May, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 The motion is carried and the resolution adopted.
But before the next one, Linda, question or Ruth Ann. Are staff members that worked on these projects, do they come to board meetings?
Yes.
So that if a director did have questions, that someone out there in the audience could actually talk about these projects in detail?
Correct, yes.
Right,
Yes.
okay, I was hoping that was the case, and that's good, thank you, and thank you for being here. Actually, maybe I'll talk to you about this or Alex, but it may be in the agenda, we could note who the key staff people are behind the project, so they could be acknowledged.
Yeah, so later in the agenda, so we are now approving the mortgage insurance committee's
Right.
mortgage insurance, so we will then approve the actual
Well, the loan.
subsidy loans, and then the program directors will come up project by project
Okay,
for
Then we
probably
can do
all
more
of these, so
questions if ever.
we'll have to talk
Got
about
it.
them 3 times.
okay.
So when we get
All
to
of
the
So-
HFA portion.
So that
of
building
the
B3 on
agenda-
Fountain
Yes,
Avenue, I
it's
feel like
coming back
I feel like
again.
I'm there already.
Yes, no, it's
I
got
feel
one
like
more
I-
turn, yeah.
that thing on Main Street in Riverhead, I can
Yeah.
picture it now. Okay. Okay. Thank you. This was a little bit of
Yep.
point of order
That's a
question.
good question.
Linda, we just did 14, right?
We're on to 15. We're on to
Resolution approving 100% mortgage insurance on a $10,950,000 HFA permanent first mortgage loan for Riverview Lofts in beautiful downtown Riverhead, Suffolk County. Any questions on this project? Okay, Linda?
So now before the board for approval is a resolution of the State of New York Mortgage Agency approving mortgage insurance and a commitment for $10,950,000 for an HFA permanent first mortgage loan for Riverview Lofts, Suffolk County, assuming the first and second previously entered for Sunny May. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion,
Aye.
Thank you.
the motion is carried and the resolution adopted.
Item 16, resolution approving 100% mortgage insurance on a $7 million HFA permanent first mortgage loan for Curran, Martinelli, and Hall Apartments in Westchester County. I think it's in White Plains, actually. Is that cool?
Yes, I
Yeah.
believe so. Now before the board for approval is a resolution of the State of New York Mortgage Agency approving a mortgage insurance and a commitment for the $7 million HFA permanent first mortgage loan for Curran, Martinelli, and Hall Apartments, Westchester County, assuming the first and second previously entered for Sunny May. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 The motion is carried and the resolution adopted.
Item 17 is a resolution approving 100% mortgage insurance on a $9,300,000 CPC permanent first mortgage loan for 330 Main Street in it's in Utica in Oneida County.
Now before the board for approval is a resolution of the State of New York Mortgage Agency approving mortgage insurance and a commitment for the $9,300,000 CPC permanent first mortgage loan for 330 Main Street, Oneida County. Assuming the first and second previously entered for Sunny May, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 The motion is carried and the resolution adopted.
Item 18 is a resolution approving 100% mortgage insurance on a $10,100,000 CPC permanent first mortgage loan for Crotona Senior Housing in Bronx County here in New York City.
Now before the board for approval is a resolution of the State of New York Mortgage Agency approving mortgage insurance and a commitment for $10,100,000 CPC permanent first mortgage loan for Croton Senior Housing, Bronx County. Assuming the first and second previously entered for Sunny May, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried and the resolution adopted. Number
Is that?
19.
Oh, there's one. I thought that we were. 19 is a resolution approving 100% mortgage insurance on an $8,013,807 list permanent first mortgage loan for 500 West 159th Street and 547 West 160th Street in New York County.
Now before the board is a resolution of the State of New York Mortgage Agency approving the mortgage insurance and a commitment for an $8,013,807 list permanent first mortgage loan for 500 West 159th Street and 531 and 547 West 160th Street, New York County. Assuming the first and second previously entered for Sunny May, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 The motion is carried and the resolution is adopted.
Linda, thank you for moving us swiftly through those 8 Sunny May items. We go now to item 20. The next item on the agenda is the review of the quarterly swap report as of July 31st, 2017. This is an information item. There'll be no discussion unless the director so requests. Directors have any questions on the swap report? All right, well then there being no further items for the Sunny May board, Linda's going to ask for motions and seconds to adjourn this meeting.
Assuming the first and second previously entered for the Sunny May board, all in favor of adjourning, please signify by saying aye.
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 The motion is carried. The meeting is adjourned. Our next board meeting is scheduled for October 12th, 2017 at 9 a.m.
Thank you, Linda. Thank you, everyone. Linda will now take the requisite steps to go into executive session.
I'll ask for a motion and a second to go into executive session pursuant to Section 105F of the Open Meetings Law to discuss financial, credit, or employment history of a particular corporation. Assuming the first and second previously entered for all agencies, those in favor of going into executive session, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We are now in executive session.
we back in action?
I will ask for a motion and a second to reconvene the public session.
So
Is there a
moved.
motion? A second?
Second.
We are back in public session. No votes were taken in executive session.
We're now going to move to the HFA action items. Item 20 and item 21 is a resolution regarding DOI authority, and Ruth Ann's going to present this.
From time to time, we are asked to issue a declaration of official intent for the purpose of qualifying project costs for tax-exempt financing pursuant to Treasury regs. So a declaration of official intent establishes a date after which costs that are incurred in a development of a project can be reimbursed using the proceeds from tax-exempt bonds. I don't have to read this whole thing, do I, Linda?
No.
Okay, so we would like to appoint Nicole Ferrara to be the, what is the official thing? We'd like to appoint Nicole to be able to sign the DOIs.
To issue the DOI.
To issue the DOIs on behalf of the agency.
All right.
I guess I could just use maybe 30 seconds more background on this. I mean, is this sort of market standard? Is there
Sure, so the tax exempt, the law requires that so basically, say someone wants to close with us on a project in 6 months, they would come in and say, I would like all of my costs that I incur between now and the time that I close to be qualified under the tax exempt law. So people will come to us in advance of financing to request one of these. So we review at that time, the project and application, and then we take it to our internal credit committee, and then we would issue a declaration of intent. So at the moment, we don't actually have anyone authorized to sign the declaration of intent, so we are nominating Nicole to be the signer of those. So it's a standard sort of document that the tax exempt law requires us to issue.
Okay.
And lots of times people have a long lead time between I'm going to close 12 months from now, I'm going to actually go into construction, I have a bank loan, and then I'm going to close with you when I'm 25% of the way through construction. And that way it allows them to qualify all the costs that they incurred.
Mostly soft cost, right?
It can be hard costs. So some folks will, right, if on an 80-20, it's not atypical for them to get a bank financing and they want to close with us, once they've already broken ground, and they could be at floor 5, and then they come in and actually close on the tax exempt with us. So they want to make sure. What's that?
We have some of that today.
Yeah,
One.
we might have one, yes. We have a dwindling number of 80-20s that will be coming through.
75-25s, I
We have
guess.
a couple,
these days.
yes. So does that help? Okay.
Sure, thank you.
Thank you, Ruth Ann. Linda, where'd Linda go?
I'm right here. I had a question for
I could-
Alex, who's
I
the
could-
master of all things. So now before the board for approval is a resolution of the New York State Housing Finance Agency delegating authority to issue a declaration of official intent. Assuming the first and second previously entered for the HFA board, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Item 22, resolution appointing Ms. Nicole Ferrara as Senior Vice President for Multifamily Finance.
So it's a little awkward to give her DOI authority before she's appointed, but I'm pleased to recommend for your.
I didn't see her signing with that new authority in particular.
I'm pleased to recommend for your consideration the appointment of Nicole Ferrara as HFA's Senior Vice President for Multifamily Finance. This is also a newly created position within the agency, and Nicole is going to be responsible for strategic leadership of all of the multifamily finance teams. Nicole brings a great mix of finance, management, and housing development and preservation expertise to the agency. Since 2015, she was the Executive Vice President for Development at the New York City Housing Authority, NYCHA, and that was her second tour at NYCHA. She had originally joined in 2011 and was the Senior Advisor to the Executive Vice President of the Capital Projects Division. Nicole also lent her expertise to teaching housing program and policy as an adjunct professor at NYU Scheck Institute of Real Estate, and maybe now also at Pratt. I'm confident that Nicole will make a significant contribution to the work and accomplishments of the agency, and I recommend her appointment without reservation.
Any questions from directors regarding this recommendation by our commissioner? Linda?
Now before the board is a resolution of the State of New York Mortgage Agency and the State of New York Affordable Housing Corporation appointing Ms. Nicole Ferrara as Senior Vice President for Multifamily Development. Multifamily Finance. Assuming the first and second previously entered for the HFA board, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The
Aye.
motion is carried and the resolution adopted.
Linda, thank you. Item 23 is a resolution adopting a credit committee charter. Ruth
We're
Ann
gonna
is,
actually pull this.
okay, we're
gonna
not gonna
Bring this
do
item to the board in October.
no credit committee charter
Trying to make it
today.
quicker.
Thank you, I think
I apologize, that is my error.
we will look forward to that on October 12th. So the next item would be 24, which is resolution appointing a secret officer. And someone.
Linda?
Linda's gonna do this?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is one where, I'll take over this one.
Okay.
This is part of our regular program of appointing co-seeker officers that can do their work on the environmental stuff across the HCR agencies. Over the last 2-3 years, we've appointed 3 folks so they can work throughout. And now we're asking that Sharon McClellan, who's in Albany, be appointed as a co-seeker officer along with Len Sedney, who does the work here at HFA, for projects that involve HFA, AHC, as well as the HCR and HTFC. So this is, I think this is our 3rd appointment, and her resume is attached.
Thank you very much, Alex. Linda?
Now before the HFA and AHC boards for approval is a resolution of the New York State State Housing Finance Agency and the State of New York Affordable Housing Corporation appointing a secret officer. Assuming the first and second previously entered for the HFA and AHC boards, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motions are carried and the resolution is adopted.
Linda's now going to call the Finance and Program Committee to order. Linda?
At this point, I call to order the 69th Finance and Program Committee meeting of the Housing Finance Agency, which was held jointly with the board meeting. Can I have a motion to open the committee meeting?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Thank you.
We will use these recorded votes as we move forward.
Item 1, the minutes of the, I'm sorry, is that me? Yeah.
Yes.
The minutes of the 68th meeting of the HFA Finance and Program Committee held on July 13th, 2017 shall be deemed approved, absent corrections from the members. Any directors or have comments about the minutes from the July meeting? No? Okay, good. So we move to item 28, resolutions authorizing financing approval in an amount not to exceed $31,500,000 for Riverview Lofts, Suffolk County. And I'm sorry, we haven't met, or maybe we did the other day. What's your name?
Leora.
Leora. It always gives the last names, which is appropriate, but then, no, okay, Leora, thank you.
I tend to just go by my first name. Yes, so I'm here to present a request for the approval for the adoption of a resolution authorizing the issuance of amount of $31.5 million in tax-exempt bonds, as well as $12,180,000 in the new construction program subsidy dollars, as well as $3.57 million in middle income dollars for Riverview Lofts in the town of Riverhead in Suffolk County. Mike Friedman, my colleague, talked about it a little bit. This project is located in downtown Riverhead, which is, just so you know, on the Ronkonkoma branch of Long Island Railroad. It is the county seat for Suffolk. This is an important project, I think, for the agency to take part in because it will contribute to the revitalization of downtown Riverhead as part of their urban renewal plan and their master plan, which is really focused on creating mixed use, mixed income, high density housing, as well as retail space in the downtown area. The project also, I think, proves to be a good example of coordinated government investment. We have the Governor's Office of Storm Recovery putting a great deal of funds in the project, as well as Suffolk County and ESD. The building itself is located next to the Peconic River, and it is a new construction, a 5-story with 116 units, as well as retail space and parking. The affordability will be as follows. There will be 87 units affordable to those earning less than 60% AMI, 13 for those earning less than 90, and 15 earning less than 130% of AMI. The project, as all our projects do that are new construction, complies with our green guidelines. And the development team is Georgia Green, and I believe, as the Mortgage Insurance Fund mentioned, I believe this is the 3rd project, I think, that we're working with Georgia. And that's just the project.
Thank you, Leora. Directors, questions for Leora on this project?
Great project.
Great project. Is there, the real estate taxes are $92,000? Is there a pilot with it?
The pilot was approved Monday for 30 years.
So 30-year pilot, but still nets out to be.
Correct. It's not no taxes. It's
No.
reduced taxes.
Right.
Which is, I think, a victory that they went out for 30 years.
Town of Riverhead has its needs, to be sure. So there you go. Other questions for Leora on this project?
Then now before the committee and the board are resolutions to be adopted that were transmitted in connection with this item. So first for the committee, assuming the first and second previously entered for the committee, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion is carried and the resolution adopted. Assuming the first and second previously entered for the HFA board, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 The motion is carried and the resolution is adopted.
Congratulations, Leora. Now we're going to change the order a little bit because Leora is sitting here, and this way she can do another project without
Thank
having
you.
to
Thank
get back and forth and up and
I
down and all
appreciate
that.
that.
So item 32 is resolutions authorizing financial approval in an amount not to exceed $103 million for 572 11th Avenue in Manhattan, New York, Canton. Back to you, Ms. Jonteff.
Thank you. It's $103 million in taxable bonds, and the previous deal was tax-exempt bonds. This is a mixed-use, mixed-income project in the Hudson Yards section of Manhattan on 11th Avenue between 43rd and 44th Street. I would call this a 80-20 project, but it's more like 75-25. There are 164 units in the project, as well as retail space and amenity space in the building. 118 are market rate. 46 of the units will have income restrictions associated with it. 17 affordable to those earning 40% AMI, 20 at 60% AMI, and 9 at 130. The program has this income structure, affordability structure rather, because it's complying with the new Affordable New York Housing Program, Option A, previously known as 421A. So that is what we're here to approve today, and as well as the program is in compliance with HPD's inclusionary housing program as well. The developer is the Moynihan Group, who have done other 80-20 projects, the old 80-20 projects with the agency.
Thank you, Leora. Questions from directors regarding this project?
And now before the committee and the board are resolutions to be adopted that were transmitted in connection with this item, assuming the first and second previously entered for the committee. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion is carried and the resolution adopted. Assuming the first and second previously entered for the HFA board, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried and the resolution adopted.
So we're going to move back to item 26. This is resolutions authorizing financing approval in an amount not to exceed $44,750,000 for Coran, Martinelli, and Hall Apartments in Westchester County. And Mr. Harry is going to discuss this, but as I did with Leora, Mr. Harry, what do you go by?
Roger.
Roger.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
We met the other night, didn't we?
We did.
It's a fantastic tie, by the way.
Thank you.
See the tie on the television screens here? All right.
Right.
I love that. All right.
And we have Leonard Grenfell.
And, yeah, I was going to just.
Leonard, very nice
Right,
to meet you.
right.
Kenneth Adams. All right.
Good.
So,
So we're
Roger,
gonna-
take it away.
Yeah, okay, so we're going to present to you, the next three deals are RAD 1 transactions, which is the HUD program to take public housing off of a operating subsidy more onto a project-based rental subsidy. Leonard is with me. Leonard is the project manager on each of these deals, and he will be presenting the details of each deal. So, Leonard, you want to?
Thank you, Roger. Leonard, take it away.
Thank you. Current Martinelli Hall Apartments is in the city of Yonkers, Westchester County. Consists of 3 sites located basically in the middle sort of section of the city of Yonkers, from basically the Sawmill over to the Bronxville line. Those sites are located at 1-4 Current Court, 21 Ellison Avenue, and 15-25 Dunbar, and 10-20 Kenmore Street. It's 279 public housing units that will become RAD 1 units. Under RAD 1, the units will be restricted rent-wise to 50% AMI. The Municipal Housing Authority for the City of Yonkers has also allocated 13 project-based Section 8 units for the project. The units range in size from 1 to 4 bedrooms. Kernan and Martinelli are both senior buildings, or senior facilities. Hall is a family building. The total development cost is approximately $94 million, or approximately $336,000 per unit. The bonds being requested is $44.75 million in tax-exempt bonds, secured by a Wells letter of credit, and during the permanent phase, Tony May MIF, $2.84 million in annual tax credits, which is Wells is the investor at $1.06.50. The public housing preservation subsidy loan in the approximate amount of $18.55 million, and the seller note is $34.595 million. Income during rehab is a little over $1 million, and it also, as mentioned before, has the RAD 1, which is basically a project-based Section 8 from HUD, the project-based Section 8 for 13 units from the Housing Authority itself, and it has a pilot 30 years from the City of Yonkers. The developer is the Municipal Housing Authority of the City of Yonkers and PRC. The general contract, Macy, which is the Housing Authority, is the second largest PHA in New York State and has experience with HFA and redeveloping projects, including Mulford Gardens, PS6, 188 Warburton, and they have other projects in front of the agency at this time. PRC has 32 years of experience, over 5,000 units developed. The project is a turnkey, and the Housing Authority will always control the project and maintain ownership, or an entity of the Housing Authority, I should say. Curran was built in 1966. It consists of 4 three-story buildings, 186 units of senior housing. It's also the location of the administrative offices for the Housing Authority, which is not part of the financing. Martinelli was constructed in 1987. It's 1 three-story building with 45 units of senior housing. Hall was constructed in 1962. It's 4 three-story buildings, 48 units of family housing. The work includes new roofs, new windows, updating public areas, new kitchens, baths, improvements to parking, sidewalks, and grounds, including new playground at Hall. The hard costs are over $115,000 per unit. The acquisition cost is almost $38 million, with the Housing Authority taking back a seller's note for about $34.6 million, and almost $3 million to pay transfer taxes and to pay outstanding loans back to HUD and EPC loans, which are energy performance contract loans. There will be approximately $400,000 back to the Housing Authority, which would be used in accordance with HUD restrictions. Should also add that the hard costs are Davis-Bacon, and it meets the HUD green requirements. Project.
Leonard, thank you. Questions from directors regarding this project for Roger or Leonard?
Just one quick question for clarification. Are they treating all 3 buildings as a single project for performance purposes?
Right.
Okay.
I have just a practical question. What happens to the tenants? A lot of them are seniors. Are people living there now? This is going to be a lengthy kind of rehab project?
This is a rehab in place, so there's no, other than the only relocation that will happen is basically if there's work going on in the apartments during the day, they'll have an option of going community room where the Housing Authority and the turnkey developer would provide lunch and things like that.
Like a hospitality
Windows and
suite.
fixtures and that kind of work.
Kitchens,
Kitchens,
bathrooms, but they
baths,
should be
right. Paint jobs
operable
and all
each
that.
night.
I mean, because for seniors who may have mobility issues and other
Right.
constraints, I mean, it's disruptive.
Right.
I mean, hopefully they'll like the end result, right?
Yeah.
But
Right.
it's gonna-
So in past deals, what they've created is a hospitality suite, and the folks
Okay.
go there for the day.
Is Joe Schuldiner still the head of the housing? Ah, okay.
Correct.
Mr. Schuldiner is very sensitive to these kinds of issues.
Good.
Yeah, he's a great,
He's a
head.
good landlord?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Any other questions for Roger Leonard on this project? Linda?
And now before the committee and boards are resolutions to be adopted that were transmitted in connection with this item, assuming the first and second previously entered for the committee. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion is carried and the resolution adopted. Assuming the first and second previously entered for the HFA board, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried and the resolution adopted.
Good, thank you both very much. Congratulations. Good luck with the project. Resolutions authorizing financial approval in an amount not to exceed $10 million for Frederick Douglass Apartments, Erie County. I'm gonna guess that's our Buffalo project.
It is.
Roger?
So this is our second red transaction that we're presenting today. This is in Buffalo. Again, Leonard is the project manager. He'll address the issues of the project.
Downtown Yonkers to downtown Buffalo.
Buffalo.
Leonard covers the whole state.
That's it.
I can tell. I've just met the guy an hour ago.
Frederick Douglass Apartments is the Buffalo Municipal Housing Authority, City of Buffalo, Erie County. It's 87 existing units that were constructed around 2000, 2001. All 87 units at or below 60% AMI, with 46 of those units will be RAD 1 units. These units, and those units will be at 50% AMI or less. The RAD 1 units were originally awarded to Buffalo Municipal Housing Authority for Commodore Perry homes. And with HUD's approval, they're being transferred to Frederick Douglass. Commodore Perry is deemed obsolete, and Buffalo Municipal Housing Authority is going through the process of disposition, demolition, and then redevelopment of that. So they are actually empty buildings at this time. The total development cost is slightly more than $14 million.
They are not totally open buildings. There are people living in the Perry projects.
Correct. And
Right.
portion of Commodore Perry, right, is
But
occupied.
the portion that
Portion,
they're
yeah,
transferring
The
is.
portion that's
yeah.
vacant, we're transferring as partial of a Section 8
Right, correct.
operating
Okay,
system.
so it's a $10 million maximum tax and bonds with letter of credit from Key Bank and Sony May as the permanent enhancement. Approximately 476,000 annual tax credits with Key Community Development buying the credits at $1.05. 925,000 in public housing preservation subsidy, a nearly $4 million seller's note, and 267,000 in reserves, 500,000 in capital funds from the Buffalo Municipal Housing Authority. RAD 1 will cover 46 units with a Section 8 project-based Section 8 contract and the pilot for 30 years through the City of Buffalo in Erie County. Bridges Development Corporation, which is an entity of the Buffalo Municipal Housing Authority, will continue to own and operate the property. The Buffalo Municipal Housing Authority was established in 1934, manages 31 developments in the City of Buffalo with 4,300 units. It's successfully redeveloped projects in the past using Hope 6 and other funding programs. The project consists of 19 buildings on a site shared with other phases of the original redevelopment of what was once Frederick Douglass Homes. It was completed in 2001. All units are for family and are two-story townhome buildings. Residents will be able to access the Housing Authority Resident Services Program, which helps residents find services in the community. The RAD 1 tenants will also be able to partake in the Family Self-Sufficiency Program. Proposed rehab includes new kitchens, baths, new entry doors, flooring, painting, landscaping improvements, parking and sidewalks, and a new play area for children. The total cost is about $60,000 per unit, also Davis-Bacon, and meets HUD Green guidelines. The acquisition is $4.975 million with a seller's note of approximately $3.94 million, and approximately $1 million going to the Buffalo Municipal Housing Authority under HUD restrictions, mainly to cover pension and benefit obligations and to repay loans made by the Housing Authority to cover operating and cash flow assistance to the project as in the past.
Very good, Leonard. Thank you. Questions from directors, Roger or Leonard, on this important Buffalo project?
I just have one question. I was really struck in the description that one advantage of this project is that it'll allow the housing authority to transfer housing units from a neighborhood with a higher concentration of poverty to a neighborhood with a lower concentration of poverty, which is, of course, a terrific goal. It's the first time, in my experience as a board member, that we've called that out as a goal. And I'm just curious whether that's something we've begun to look at, whether that's something that we're tracking in any way. As you know, I've raised questions in the past about some of the locational consequences of the investments we make, and so I was very glad to see this, but I'm just curious, maybe this is as much a question for Ruth Ann as for
That was the housing.
I mean, I think I would say at the high level, certainly for HUD, right,
Right.
fair housing issues have risen sort of to the top, that things like choice neighborhoods and other sort of HUD programs came out were sort of specifically designed to meet issues like that. So I think we are seeing that language in these projects sort of particularly because they are housing authority projects and they have all these sort of federal programmed on that. So I think that's sort of why it's more in here than it might be in sort of a
Right.
regular, typical project that we would do that would not be a housing authority or.
So this is coming more from the HUD side than from internal?
Definitely more from the HUD side.
Yeah, I think it's sort of integrated into the approach
Right.
that they've taken.
Thank you. I mean, I just encourage us to keep thinking about these metrics as we move
So we
forward.
also have a heightened sort of acuity on fair housing issues, both from the, just sort of, Linda's leadership and so. I
Leonard,
think
how
you'll
do
see more.
you, I'm sure you've been there, right? Or not you? Well, we've got colleagues in Buffalo who know. I'm just curious, you know, the buildings are 16 years old and need this very expensive rehab after only 16 years. What's the reason for that?
Primarily, it's a family project. It's it's basically a housing authority tenancy, which tends to be.
And are they reconfiguring? I noticed the biggest, the two bedrooms are the biggest cohort, right, in both
Right.
buildings, right? So, but are they actually kind of doing, it must be a pretty significant renovation, and are they reconfiguring apartments for different family size? Again, it's a 16-year-old building.
They're not reconfiguring. It's primarily improvements to the units themselves, like new kitchens, new
Right.
bathrooms, things of that nature. And then it's outdoor improvements as well,
Right.
parking
Right.
lots,
So it's really, there
playground.
being 87 units spread in these various buildings.
Right.
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 Okay. Thank you. Any other questions, observations, comments from directors? Linda?
Then now before the committee and the board are resolutions to be adopted that were transmitted in connection with this item, assuming the first and second previously entered for the committee. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion is
I'd like to be
carried.
recorded in a negative, please. I'd like to be recorded in a negative.
Thank you.
Mr. Schroeder, you're technically not on the HFA board, so I thank you for your vote, but on this item, it's not necessary.
That's okay, just as long as the board understands what I just said.
All right, thank
Right.
you.
Thank you.
Then assuming the first and second previously entered for the HFA board, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried and the resolution is adopted.
Item 28, resolutions authorizing financing approval in an amount not to exceed $23,920,000 for Skylar DeKalb Apartments in Westchester County. Again, Roger.
Yes, this is the last of our rad deals today that Linda will present. Go ahead, Linda.
Okay, Skylar DeKalb Apartments is part of the White Plains Housing Authority. It's in the city of White Plains, Westchester County. Has 167 units, 166 revenue, 1 employee. 136 will be below 60%, or technically 50% with the RAD 1, and 30 are below 80%. Those are the over-income units, which upon turnover would be turned to RAD 1, and restrictions at 50% AMI. The TDC is approximately 44 million, or slightly more than 263,000 per unit. The bonds being requested is 23,920,000, with a chase letter of credit and Sonny Mae during the permanent. It's about 1.3 million of annual tax credits being syndicated by CREA at little over $1.03, and the public housing preservation subsidy of almost 10 million, 9.55 million. The seller's note is 11 million. There are also income during rehab of almost a little more than 800,000, and will benefit from the Section 8 contract through RAD 1, as well as a 30-year pilot from the city of White Plains. The borrower and owner will be an entity of the White Plains Housing Authority. White Plains Housing Authority operates 712 public housing units on 3 sites. It completed Brookfield Commons, which HFA issued bonds in 2013. That's 104 units. New construction was the first phase of the redevelopment of a 450-unit complex of public housing in the city of White Plains. Also completed a first RAD transaction last year using tax-exempt bonds issued by the Housing Authority and tax credits through HFA. The project consists of 1 building of 14 stories. It was originally completed in 1969. The hard costs are over $115,000 per unit. They include updating kitchens, bathrooms, new appliances, new smoke detectors, new entry doors, new windows, new roof, new flooring, landscaping, parking is to be refurbished, and a new children's playground. There's also extensive asbestos remediation in this project, which will require tenant relocation on a floor-by-floor basis, and the relocation is to follow HUD guidelines. The green meets HUD requirements, and the acquisition cost of $11.7 million, of which the Housing Authority will take a seller's note of $11 million, with $700,000 going back to the Housing Authority to cover pension and benefit obligations, including retiree health care obligations.
Very good, thank you, Linda, thank you, Roger. Questions from directors on this item? Linda?
Then now before the committee and the board are resolutions to be adopted that were transmitted in connection with this item, assuming the first and second previously entered to the committee. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried and the resolution adopted. Assuming the first and second previously entered for the HFA board, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried and the resolution is adopted.
Thank you, Linda. We'll now begin the afternoon session of today's board. Item 29, resolutions authorizing financing approval in an amount not to exceed $62 million for Fountain Avenue, Building B1, Kings County. Roger?
Okay, this is,
Question saying we are joined by Terrence Sang.
I was gonna
Oh,
do,
good
okay.
morning. Hi,
Yeah,
Terrence.
right.
Nice to meet you.
Mr. Chairman,
Thank you.
Great. Terrence is the project manager for this project. This is different for us. We were on the preservation side, but this is a new construction deal that, we took over to do the underwriting. So Terrence will give you the particulars about the property.
Okay, so Fountain Avenue Building B1 is a new construction or affordable project. The project will be located at 10 Schroeder's Walk in the East New York section of Brooklyn. The building will be a 7-story building. We'll have 200 units. 199 of them are affordable units for senior earning 60% of AMI or lower. All units will be covered by a project-based Section 8 contract. And 30% of the units will be reserved for homeless seniors. The TDC is projected to be at $102 million, and we're expecting to provide a first mortgage in the amount of $60 million. And also, we will provide a HFA subsidy loan in the amount of $12.6 million. The construction will meet EPA Energy Star New Homes Multifamily High-Rise criteria, and the bonds will be certified as climate bonds. The amenities will include 50 parking space. Not, this is a senior project, so there's no parking space. And there will be a laundry facility, community rooms, open courtyard, and outdoor space. The borrower will be Fountain Seaview B1 Limited Partnership, a single-purpose entity controlled by the principals of the ARCA companies. Wells Fargo Bank will be providing a letter of credit for the bonds during construction, and they're also the tax credit investor. The pricing for the tax credit is 1.065. So,
Very good. Questions?
Thank you.
For Terrence or Roger?
Just one question about construction costs.
yes.
So we have two projects in a row that are literally right next to each other. And there's a per unit difference of about $170,000. And I'm wondering if you could just talk a little bit about what drives that difference.
Yeah, so this is a senior project, so we are getting a new Section 8 contract from NYSHA. So whenever we have a Section 8 for new units, this would trigger Davis-Bacon wages for construction.
I see. So there's no Davis-Bacon on B3, but there's Davis-Bacon
Yes.
on B1.
One, right.
And the earlier phases of this project were approved last year, right? How's
Yes.
that work going?
It's on schedule.
It's on schedule, yeah.
We closed it in last December.
Right, and so that's in construction now, and
Yes,
it's going well?
yes.
Right. There's a representative here from the ARCA organization.
Great.
You have, right.
Thank you, thanks
Yeah.
for coming this morning.
Right. Right.
Thank you, congratulations.
Right.
Any other questions for Terrence or Roger on this project?
This whole thing is.
Yeah, no, I know that.
Do you know that? Like,
It, yeah, it's got a very good view of what used to be the landfill, right? Across
Yes.
the other side of the highway is
Still does,
Yeah.
yeah.
Pennsylvania
Fiscal.
Avenue.
Avenue.
Yeah.
There's a fancier word for it, but from when I was a kid, I just thought of that as it was Pennsylvania Avenue, well, I won't say it, landfill. Now, there's a Red Lobster. Anyway, all good. Questions, comments from directors for our colleagues here? Hearing none. Linda, take it away.
And now before the board, the committee and the board are resolutions to be adopted that were committed and transmitted in connection with this item. Assuming the first and second previously entered for the committee, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried and the resolution adopted. Assuming the first and second previously entered for the HFA board, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 The motion is carried and the resolution is adopted.
Item 30, resolutions authorizing financing approval in an amount not to exceed $28 million for Fountain Avenue Building B3 in Kings County. I suspect there's some similarities to the last item.
Let me tell you what the differences are. So this is a 9-story building next to B1, and this is a family project with 143 affordable units, 15 of which will be at 30% of AMI, and another 15 at 40% of AMI, and the rest at 60% of AMI. 29 of the 60% AMI units will be reserved for people with developmental disabilities. The TDC is projected to be at $49 million. The agency will provide a first mortgage from the issuance of tax-exempt bonds in the amount of $25.7 million. And Wells Fargo Bank would provide a letter of credit during construction, and they're also the tax credit investor.
Terrence, thank you. Questions from directors for Terrence about Phase 3, about this project?
And now before the committee and the board are resolutions to be adopted that were transmitted in connection with this item, assuming the first and second previously entered for the committee. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion is carried and the resolution adopted. Assuming the first and second previously entered for the HFA board, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried and the resolution adopted.
Again, if I can, Linda, the representative from Archer Companies, thanks for joining us today. Also, just on a personal note, I think the site was, you acquired the site through an RFP process issued by my former agency.
Your former colleague has been fantastic.
Was it Joe Chan, or who was over there at the time?
Joe was over there. We're working with Tom Commissary.
Tom's great.
We're working with Holly.
Good, well, congratulations. The renderings are beautiful. Good luck with the project.
Thank you so
It's
much.
really important. Thank you. All right. Linda, let's move on. What do you say?
I think we want to go to the Bronx.
Let's go to the Bronx. Why not? That's where I'm supposed to be right now. Resolutions authorizing financing approval amount not to exceed $22 million for 2050 Bartow Avenue, which is Project Hope in Bronx County. And Roger, you're going to help us with this, and
Sure I am.
Terrence will as well.
Absolutely. This is Terrence's Project 2, but this is a refinancing of a HUD Section 202 project adjacent to Co-op City in the Bronx. So.
Right. Okay. So this is a acquisition and rehab project. The building was built in 1992. It's a 7-story building located at 2050 Bartow Avenue in the Bronx. The building has 99 units for seniors. The income restriction is at 60% of AMI, and the project has a project-based Section 8 going forward. The construction will meet HFA mandatory green building guidelines. The scope of work will include a new elevator cap, new hot water heaters, new windows, new boilers and pumps, and a new sprinkler, new appliances, and new kitchens and bathrooms. So this is a partnership between a nonprofit and a for-profit developer. The borrower is Project Hope Bronx LLC. 50% of the controlling member of the borrower is B'nai B'rith, is a nationally known affordable housing developer for seniors.
Very good. Questions from directors for Terrence or Roger on 2050 Bartow Avenue? Hearing none, Linda, let's do it.
All right, then assuming now before the board now before the committee and board are resolutions to be adopted that were transmitted in connection with this item. Assuming the first and second previously entered for the committee, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried and the resolution adopted. Assuming the first and second previously entered for the HFA board, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried and the resolution adopted.
We have an additional item to consider in the HFA agenda. Materials, thank you, Roger, thank you, Terrence, thank you, other members of the staff who helped with all of these projects we just did. We're now going to look to materials in connection with this item, which were sent out to HFA members by separate cover in advance of our meeting. It's a new item. Resolutions authorizing the amendment and restatement of the existing bond resolutions for 149 Kent Avenue Apartments in Brooklyn, Kings County. And Ms. Ferrara,
Hello.
newly appointed with a new title and responsibilities and things like that.
Jumping right in.
Is going to lead us in this
Thank you.
deliberation.
I'm with Mulina Ng, who is our VP of Debt Issuance for our 80/20 program. So in October of 2013, members of this board approved the resolution to finance new construction of a multifamily rental building located at 149 Kent Avenue, which is in the Williamsburg section of Brooklyn. It's a 7-story, 164-unit building, 33 affordable units below 50% AMI. At that time, Freddie Mac issued a standby commitment letter for future delivery of credit enhancement with the bonds. Bonds were issued in several tranches in the private placement mode with Bank of America. And so this building is now fully leased and occupied, and at this point the agency needs to amend and restate the existing bond resolutions to incorporate the terms and provisions to the Freddie Mac credit enhancement of the bonds for a term of 15 years.
Any questions or comments from directors on this?
Then now before the board are resolutions to be adopted that were transmitted in connection with this item, assuming the first and second previously entered for the HFA board. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried and the resolution adopted.
Thank you very much. Thank you, both of you. Congratulations. Good project, or important to do. Now we move to the AHC consent item. There will be no discussion whatsoever, no ifs, ands, or buts on this item, unless the members so desire. Do they so desire?
No.
Therefore, to item 33, resolution authorizing award of grant funds for certain projects located in and outside the city of New York. Linda.
Now before the board is a resolution of the New York State Affordable Housing Corporation authorizing awards of grant funds for certain projects located inside and outside the city of New York. Assuming the first and second previously entered for the AHC board, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried and the resolution adopted.
There being, are we really here?
Yes,
Yeah,
finally.
final page.
All right, so
This is unusual, I hope you know.
Extremely unusual.
before we adjourn, Alex has given me the 17 new items to share with the directors for consideration this afternoon. He'll hand out the materials. Everybody stay on the TV.
Lunch is coming.
Lunch is coming, then dinner. There being no further items. You know, Chairman Thompson didn't tell me about this.
This hasn't happened in years.
3
Yeah,
hours.
this is
3
very
hours and
unusual.
16 minutes, but who's
Meeting's
counting?
usually over by 10:30.
Yeah.
Ruth Ann didn't tell me about this part.
We've usually already
Good
done a second
governor.
board meeting and adjourned for lunch by
Right.
this time.
Right, we're usually
it's,
on to HTFC
You know,
by
Chris
now.
whispered to me that he thought it was in part the result of not having an August meeting, so there are more items that have to get
Could be.
compressed into the September agenda.
Even so.
I'm going to be busy next September. Chris, you're in charge, dude. All right. There being no further items for the HFA Finance and Program Committee and HFA and AHC boards, Linda will ask for motions and seconds to adjourn the meetings. Please be cooperative at this point.
Assuming the first and second previously entered for HFA, Finance and Program Committees, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried and the committee meeting adjourned. Assuming the first and second previously entered for the HFA and AHC boards, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motions are carried and the meetings are adjourned. Our next meeting is scheduled for Thursday, October 12th, 2017 at 9 a.m.